Ezekiel chapter 3 verse 18. If I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him no warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way in order to save his life, that wicked person shall die for his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. You know, church, when we don't share the gospel and we know those around us are wicked, and we know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to hell, right? We know these things. Everybody that's saved, all of us that's saved, you know, that's in the church, we know it. And yeah, we just read here in Ezekiel 3 that if people around us die and they sin, their blood is on our hands, the church. So that means the people that we rub shoulders with, the people we see at work, our family members at family gatherings and all that, and we sit back and don't say nothing, and then we get a call that cousin such and such died in a car wreck, and we was just with them at a family gathering last month, their blood is on our hands, right? It's critical that we understand this. Me personally, I have never really been one to shy away from sharing the gospel, but with a heavy heart, I'm going to share this, you know? It's a total of at least 5 people, 6 if I count my old job, that died on my watch. And yet, I didn't share the gospel with these 6 people. And out of the 6, I knew that at least 4 of them wasn't saved. I knew that. The other 2, I'm not sure. But 4 of them I knew for a fact wasn't saved. And like I said, I've always been real vocal in the workplace. That's never been a problem with mine, you know, as far as standing up for the Lord and like in that regard. And I just took it for granted and just assumed like, oh, well, somebody else would tell him he's a Christian. Or maybe one day while I was talking to this group of people at lunch, they were sitting kind of close by. So I kind of counted that as me sharing the gospel with, you know, those people, right? And I thought the last person that I worked with that passed away, I had this mindset of, man, when this person comes back to work, I'm going to talk to them then. They'll be back. They off on leave right now. They'll be back. They passed away while they was out on leave. I never had that opportunity. You know, again, I had a chance in the past, but I thought, well, when they come back to work, well, I have another shot. They didn't come back to work. It was another person who I would see this person all the time at work. And they would ask me how I'm doing. They would tell me, hey man, come by and see me. You know, stop by and talk to me. And I would say, okay. And same thing, I thought, oh, well, I can talk to him next week. I'll go talk to him next week. That person is no longer here. You know, and I got more stories. You know, it's a total of 6. But all the stories are similar. I just took it for granted, you know. The Bible says life is but a vapor. Here today, gone tomorrow. So church, when we don't warn people, when we don't preach to people, when we don't present the good news, the gospel, People's blood is literally on our hands. As we just read here in Ezekiel. It's on our hands. I know some would watch this video and say, oh, well, that verse, that was for, the people of that day, or that was for that prophet, or that was for a certain group of people. Okay, but every verse has one meaning, but many applications. So this can be applied to us today. And also, I want to read, let me jump over here. Romans chapter 10, verse 13 through 14, Paul says this: for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved, right? So we know he's talking about Jesus. Verse 14, how then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him in whom they have not heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? So Paul is saying there, we got to go out and tell the world about Jesus. That's church. That is our job. Not just the pastor and the leadership. That is on us all. Whatever church you attend, that is on you to go out and share the gospel. We let the enemy creep in and, oh, well, what if they don't receive what I'm saying? Or what if I get cussed out? Well, Jesus said it this way. In the Gospels, when he sent out the disciples, he said, whoever don't receive you, shake the dust off and keep it moving. That's what he said. I don't know if he didn't word it. He didn't say keep it moving. But he said, if they don't receive you, just keep going. Shake the dust off. So that applies for us today too, church. If people don't want to hear the good news, then we just got to tell them, sorry, y'all, about my dog. He trying to cut up while I'm making this video, but yeah, we gotta keep it moving. That's on us. Stop. That's on us to keep it moving and not get discouraged. It's gonna be people that's gonna receive the gospel, that's gonna receive Jesus, and then it's gonna be people that's gonna reject it. The Bible do say in the Gospels that the pathway, I believe is in Matthew 7, the pathway to heaven is narrow, but the pathway to destruction is wide and many find it. But the narrow path to heaven, it says few find it. So we got about what, if my math is correct, almost 8 billion people on this earth, right? So by Jesus saying the pathway to heaven is narrow and few find it. So few, a couple billion, right? That means the rest, the many, that's a lot of people that's not going to make it into heaven. That's just the reality, right? But that shouldn't stop us from going out and sharing the gospel. We let, say you go to your favorite restaurant. You love, let's use, I don't know, Longhorn or something. And you love it here in Dayton, but then you go out of town and you eat at a Longhorn and it's terrible. That won't stop you from, when you get back home, going back to that one. You just won't go back to that one out of town, right? Same thing when it comes to sharing the gospel. People cuss us out. They boldly tell you, hey, I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want that God stuff. I don't want that Jesus. I don't care about the Father, the Son, Spirit, none of that. I don't want to hear it. Get out of my face. And yes, I have been told like that, like boldly like that, right? And we got to keep it moving and pray for, that person's heart would be softened, and write that person's name down, continue to intercede for them, and maybe we can circle back around. But we shouldn't let getting cussed out stop us from sharing the gospel, or maybe you may be in this camp. Maybe you preached the gospel to hundreds of co-workers, and over the years, not one person haven't showed up to church, or you invited them to your home for a Bible study or for a small group and they never showed up. I want to encourage you, man, in this video, just keep going for it. Don't stop. Keep going, keep pushing, keep going, because you're doing the Lord's work. By doing that, you are being about the Father's business, So I just want to end this video with this, man. think about the people, the men and the women that obeyed God and was a voice in your life. I'm gonna give my brother Rex Bennett, man, a shout out. You know, my big brother, one of my older brothers. You know, that man, back when I was 18 years old, I was born in 88, so I'll let you do the math. But back when I was 18, 19 years old, my brother Rex got saved, and he stayed on me. He began to tell me, Quan, you know, you got to give your life to Jesus. The way you living is not right. Like, he used to tell me, like, bro, don't you feel empty? Like, when you lay down at night, don't you feel empty? Don't you got like a void? Don't you got this feeling? And I can remember telling him, like, yeah, like I've been feeling that for years, you know, as long as I can remember, just the emptiness. At the end of the night, when I was done playing my game, partying, drinking, smoking, whatever I was doing sinful, but when I would lay down at night, that's when that emptiness and that feeling would just hit hard. So my brother was that voice in my ear, you know, and he stayed on me. He stayed on me, man, telling me, you know, he talked to me about heaven and hell. He talked to me, you know, just telling me stories in the Bible, like about Moses and John the Baptist, and just like, man, like just all of these amazing stories, man. I was like, man, I was just blown away back then, like, wow. And you know, I wish I would have surrendered to the Lord back then, but when I was 21 years old, I gave my life to the Lord, and my brother Rex played a big part in that, man. And a guy named Eddie, I can't remember his last name, back when I was 14 years old, I went down to Sinclair. It was like the bring your child to work day. So I went down there with my dad, or bring your kids to work day. And my dad had to go do something, so I hung out with this man named Eddie. And I will never forget this, man. I was 14 years old, far from God, you know, wasn't even giving like God really like a thought, you know. And Eddie started talking to me about the book of Revelation. He started talking to me, like he asked me, did I know Jesus? I told him no. And he began to tell me how Jesus came over 2,000 years ago and died for my sins. And then he switched to the book of Revelation, and he talked about how a day is coming where, you know, this figure will offer the mark of the beast, and if you don't serve him, you get your head cut off. I mean, he was just throwing all this stuff at a 14-year-old kid. And he was just saying, like, man, you know, Raekwon, this isn't an accident that you standing with me. This is what he said, his words. You standing with me, a white man, in the elevator right now, and I'm talking to you about God. And it's just like, that really pierced my heart, even back then. Even though I didn't follow the Lord back then, I just pondered. You know, I pondered that, man, for years. For years, like, man, like, what if everything this man is saying is true? You know? So it's many others, man, that I didn't, you know, name, but those two really played a big part in me getting to know the Lord, man. So I share that because think about you for a minute, church. Think about yourself, like how all the different people that God used to get your attention so you will surrender. So let's not be selfish. Let's not have the mindset, oh, I'm in the club, I'm good now. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And that's true. That's true. And Joshua says that is true. Yes, we got to take a stand in our homes, push back against culture, tell our wives and kids, like, hey, as for me and my house, we gonna serve the Lord. I get that. But that verse isn't meant to say, oh, I'm only, as long as me and my house saved, forget everybody else out there, they can go to hell. We can't think like that. It's on us to go out and engage darkness. It's on us. And we just read Romans 10, 13, and 14, Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18. You know, it's on us. It's on us. So I hope this video bless you, man. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Like, share, man. I want to just get the word of God out, you know. So God bless y'all, man. Until next time.